So in today's video, I'll show you how to load an image directly from a remote server or probably from the internet directly into your Godot application. So what we have here, in fact, before we start anything, let me just show you our target for today. So this is the project. Let me just run it and we'll see what we want to achieve. So this is just a texture rect. You can see it has a little image there, a texture, and this is a text edit. That's this, and this is a button. So what I'll do is if we come here, I have this website where if you visit the website, it just serves you an image. I think a PNG image. So and it usually it gives you the ability to select the resolution. So this is the width, this is the height. So in fact, before we do that, let's just open a browser and copy that so that I show you what that website does. It just allows you to test and get pictures. So I've just touched that. Do I have internet? Hopefully I do. Okay, so that's the image. You can see it gives me an image of 400 by. So whenever I reload this that particular website, let me just, it serves me another image. So I've just reloaded so you see I get another image. You can also, like I said, you can also specify the width and the height of the image. So anyway, we're going to use that particular website to test our application. So I'll just come here. I've already done that. I've already done that project, built the application. So I just want to show you. So I've clicked on the load image and you see it loads the image for us in our Godot application. If I click it again, it does it again and it loads another, it sends another HTTP request to that site and it loads the image. So I'll show you how to do this in your by the way, if you click on that load image, the whole process is being done in the background. Okay, if you have, for example, you have some animation going on in your Godot application, you will notice that the animation will not be affected. It's going to keep on going while the image is being downloaded, and when it's done, the texture rect gets updated with the loaded image. So anyway, so what that means is that the whole process is asynchronous. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. First, let's just visit the script. The script which I wrote is just one single script, this image fetcher. We'll just go over it and see how I wrote it and what it does. So here, this should be straightforward. This is just variables which we are going to keep, that our text edit and our texture rect. Okay, and this is very important. This is what we're going to use in to this HTTP request object. It's from the Godot library, Godot namespace. So that's what we're going to use to load the image. We're going to use it to make a HTTP request. This is just a texture 2D. We're going to use it to cache. We will keep that our question mark image, so that the reason I want us to keep the texture mark question mark image is in case we try to fetch an image and we're not successful, probably because there's no internet, or it could be that the maybe the image format is not supported by this by Godot. In that case, we'll just take this question mark texture 2D and just slam it on the image and on the texture rect. Okay, so okay, so for example, what I mean is if we go back to the project, let me just run that. So I've already implemented that. I just want to, so these are some examples of, these are from Google Drive. So the thing is, I have some images on Google Drive. If you put images on Google Drive and you try to, you can actually get a shared link for your Google Drive. The problem is if you load that particular link, if you try to access that particular link, Google Drive is not going to serve you an image. Okay, that's the image. It does serve you the image, but it doesn't come in the format. Okay, in the format that is supposed to that's supposed to be an image, because in HTTP, if the content you're being served is an image, under the headers, the content type header is supposed to show image slash whatever image format. Unfortunately, I just realized, because initially when I created the application, I was using some images on Google Drive, and I wasn't it wasn't working. Yeah, in fact, I thought there was error with the code, but I later found out that it was because the links provided by Google Drive does not give you the image as an image content. Okay, so like I said, so this is what I mean. If you try to load a non-existing image content, okay, it will just slam that question mark on there. Okay, let's go back to the code and see what we have. So yes, I said we're going to use did I mention we're going to use this to keep our question mark? Yes, I did. Okay, so we'll use that to keep the question mark. OnReady, inside this onReady function, we're just keeping, or we're grabbing references to our objects. So our text edit, we grab a reference. By the way, notice I'm using the unique name. So that means in your scene, you have to call that particular text edit this text edit. Okay, same thing with the texture rect, you have to call it this. Anyway, I'm going to create a new scene and we will set it up, and you see how I did set it up. Then also we just write enter URL here, so you know you're supposed to write the URL in the text edit. Then finally, in the onReady, this is very important. After you create, so first you're going to initiate. You initiate the HTTP request object by just calling this equals new HTTP request object. Then this is very important. You have to add it as a child. Okay, you have to like add it as a node to whatever node this particular image fetcher script is attached to. Okay, so we just add it. In fact, it's not supposed to be any it's not supposed to be this particular, it could be any other node, but I think it's safer just attach it to the node this image fetcher is attached to. I think that would be safer. So finally, if you remember, I said it's going to be asynchronous. That's the whole fetching of the image is going to be asynchronous. It means when you when you tell it to fetch the image, it's not going to complete that's downloading the image. You don't expect it to finish downloading the image immediately, especially if the image is heavy. Okay, so usually for such kind of methods, you have this event handler. We call them event handler. This is an event. Actually, the request completed is an event. You attach it, you give it an event handler. This finished download is the event handler. Now look at the signature of the event handler. It has to be exactly, the signature has to be exactly this. Okay, so it has a long request. This is a long data type, a long response code, a string that's array of string called headers. Now the names, for the names, obviously they don't have to be exactly this. You can call them whatever you want, but the data types have to be exactly this. Okay, so anyway, you attach that event handler to the event request completed event. Now what that means is that whenever you tell this HTTP request object to make a HTTP request, when that request is completed, this is going to be fired. Okay, that's this particular method is going to be fired. Okay, then finally here is our on button clicked. Remember, we have a button, so we just attach its pressed signal to this particular method. Okay, now this is where you actually So you can see you take the URL, you take the whatever is written in the text edit and say that's the URL you're trying to fetch, and you call this method HttpRequest.request, and then you pass the address. Okay, that's that particular whatever address you put as input. So at this point, when this method gets called, at this point the download process is going to start. Okay, and then when it's done, when the download is done, this is going to be fired. Okay, this particular method, in fact this is the end of the code, so this method is going to be fired. Let's just quickly run through this particular script. I will show you, you don't have to write it. I'll show you where you can download it. I'll put it in the description of the video. So as I was saying, when this gets called, that's the result, and the download, the image download has just completed. Now first thing you need to do is you need to check this result. Okay, you need to check it. Now I don't know why the Godot team made it as a long when they actually have this enumeration. They could have easily made it also a HTTP request dot result enumeration, so that it's easier to compare, but it doesn't matter since it's done like that. You just have to do this. So you say result equals, so you check if it is equal to, you now cast this particular HTTP request dot result dot success, you cast it to a long, and then compare it to your result. If they are equal, it means your HTTP request was okay. Okay, that means a 200 HTTP request 200 code was the result. Okay, meaning it did fetch, it did make the HTTP request successfully, and it got a response. So if otherwise, if you don't get 200 okay response, then this is what we just do. We just say image texture, image.texture. Remember, this is our texture rect. We say the texture equals, we just slam that question mark, and then in the text we just say could not download image. Okay, and then if it does download it, if it does get a 200 okay, we now proceed with our processing of the HTTP result. So now next thing we need to check is we need to check the header. Okay, now notice how the headers are returned. They are returned as an array of strings. Okay, now that means that we have to search through every single header, every single string in that headers, and look for and search for the one that has this content type. Okay, this is where this is the only way we can tell if what we get back is an image, is actually an image MIME type, or content type, or media type. Okay, now to do that, first we just check if the header dot contains this. Now when we do get a header that contains that particular string, we know that that's the header that contains the content type. Okay, and then we just say media header equals that header, and we break. Next, we now take that media header, okay, and we switch it. First we check if it is empty. If the media header is empty, obviously that means there's a if the media header is not empty, obviously if it is empty, it means we'll just do the same thing. We'll just say we could not fetch the image. Otherwise, if it is not empty, we now continue with our processing. Okay, so first we need to get the media type. Okay, the media type, we're going to extract it from that media header, and this is how we do that. We say media header.split. If you know string.split, this method, what it does, I hope this is not confusing. This is just some I should have probably broken this down into 2 or 3 steps. While I just felt this is it might not be that difficult to understand. So what's going on here is, remember, if you call string.split, you can split a string by whatever character you give it. So this is the character, and this first argument is the character. Okay, and the character is a colon and a space. Okay, a colon and a space. So if it sees a colon and a space, it's going to break that particular string. Remember, we're breaking the content type header. Okay, now so it's going to break from here to here, and from the colon where it says colon and space, and then whatever is on the left hand side is going to be placed in index 0 of the return of the array. Okay, by the way, the second argument for this particular split method is the split options, string split options dot remove empty entries. What this does is that it just makes sure that the return type, remember, it's going to return an array of strings. What is going to return, it's going to make sure that there are no empty strings. Okay, so all the strings are populated. So your left is going to be obviously this content type now without the colon. That's the first in that's going to be in index 0, and then in index 1 obviously is going to be your content type. That's what we're actually after. And now we'll check to see if it is here. I'm just creating the image and the texture where we're going to store the downloaded image. Okay, I'm just creating it beforehand. Then we now check that particular media type. That's that second index, whatever is in the second index. We compare it to this. If it is image like JPEG, we know it's a JPEG image, so we're going to call this method. Okay, now the reason we have to do this is if you call image.loadJPG from buffer when actually the what was returned is actually a PNG, it's not going to work. Okay, you're going to get an error. Okay, so that's why we have to first switch the media type and check for each case. And if it's a JPEG, we call this method. If it's a PNG, we call this method. Whatever, these are the methods that are, these are the formats, image formats that are actually supported by the Godot implementation. Okay, so we'll just use that to search. Also notice we're keeping an error to this error variable. Is just going to store the result of this loading of the image or construction of the image. Now notice this, where after we've called those loading of image, this is where we check to see if there's an error. Okay, so we say if error equals error.ok. If it is okay, means there is no error. So we can actually take our texture and create a texture. This T is a texture 2D. If you see it here, this is where I created it. It's a texture 2D. It's just a new texture 2D. So we say T equals image texture.create from image, and we pass that image that we created. Where is it? Here, that we created here. And remember, this is where we called image.whatever format we loaded from. Okay, and then otherwise, so if the error is not error.ok, means there was a problem in loading or in constructing the image. So we'll just do the same thing again. We'll just take that question mark and slam it on top of our texture rect. Okay, and then say could not load image. So that's all about the script. I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you where you can download the script so you don't have to write it all by yourself. Next, I'll show you how to connect it. So let's just go back to Godot, how to set up everything. I'll just quickly create a new scene. So this is going to be like our scene. Now I'll add a layer. Forgotten the canvas layer. Yes, that's the name. I'll add a canvas layer. This is just to help me easily arrange the items. So remember I said we need a texture rect. This is where we're going to put the image. Now I'll just quickly go and resize it and set it where I want it. So I want it as under the layout. I'll say I want a custom layout. I'll remove the presets. Anchor offsets, I'll remove that, and then under anchor points. So why I like these custom anchor points is that I can now use percentages to control the setting of my controls. So for example, left, I'll say okay, from 0 to, remember 100% is 1, 100% is going to be 1. From top is going to be 0, right is going to be, let's say, 80%, which is 0.8. And then so if I just zoom out, you can see that's 80% of the total width. And then the height bottom is going to be, let's say, 0.8 also. So it's going to be 80% to the right, 80% to the top. So we'll just put our maybe our text edit here and the button under. Okay, so we'll add child, say text edit. We'll call this text edit. Now I'm going to put it under. Let's go to layout. Where's the layout? I'll choose custom again. Remove the offsets, and then under anchor points, I'll say, okay, from 0, top cannot be 0. Let's say 0.85. That's exactly below that, and then to 0.9. Sorry, that's for right. Right should be to let's say 0.6, and then bottom should be to 0.9. Okay, so that's our text edit. And then finally we're going to add a button. So it's going to be a normal button. I'll just put a text on the button. Let's say load image. That will be what is written on the button. And then I'll go to layout again and set the layout to custom. Not this. Oh yes, that's it. I'll choose custom. Remove the offsets, and then I'm going to put the button directly below the text edit. So I'm going to say from 0, top should be 0.9, and then bottom should be 0.9, or let's say 1. That's from 0.9 to 1. Okay, that's full. Then the right, we can say from left from 0 right to let's say 5. Okay, so that's our button, that's our text edit, and our texture rect is here. So anyway, let's go on. For the texture rect, let's just take this question mark and put it on top of the texture rect. Okay, and then expand mode, should we say ignore size, width? I don't like the way it's stretched. Keep aspect. Okay, so that's fine. All right, next what you need to do is, remember, you're going to download this particular ImageFetcher.cs. so you just drag the ImageFetcher.cs and drop it on top of your node 2D. That's going to attach. You can see the script is attached on node 2D, and then you need to set this as unique. Remember, we said you have to call it texture rect, and then access as unique name, so that % shows. The same thing with the text edit, access as unique name, that's % shows. And then finally we're going to attach. We come to node, the press signal, and we're going to say on node 2D, and then remember the name of the method is on button clicked. I think on button clicked, and choose connect. Let's just check and see. Yes, that's the correct spelling, on button clicked. So that's it. Let's see, is there anything I forgot? Not really. Okay, so this is our scene, our second scene. So I'll just say scene save as. So this is just how to create it. So let's call it scene 02.tscn. Click save, and then I think that's it. Let's just run it and see. Oh, okay, so we should set this scene 02 as the main scene, so that is the scene that gets run when you run the project. So click on run. So here you can see it's saying enter URL. I'll delete that, go to my and grab that and put it here, and click load image, and we'll wait a few seconds. Okay, seems like there's an issue. I must have forgotten to do something. Let's go back to the I can see there's an error. Native calls Godot blah 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 blah. Okay, I'm not sure why we're having that error. I'm pretty sure we connect. Yeah, the signal is connected. That is okay. Let's try it again. Choose stop, run. Do I have internet connection? Yes, I do. Okay, let's just try it again. Load. Okay, we're still having that error. I'm not sure why we're having this error. Invalid URL scheme. Invalid URL scheme. Invalid. Does that mean the URL I'm choosing is no? No. Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't copy it correctly. I must have copied a return carriage return. Okay, let's go back and put the correct thing there. Okay, Control V, load image. I think this should work. Okay, there we have it. It was because I copied the carriage return. So you can click it again and it will load another image. So you can see that works. By the way, you can also change this resolution 12 by 800. Remember, it allows you to change the resolution and it will load the image for you. So you can see, there we have it. So anyway, that's the end of this tutorial. By the way, like I said, I'll show you where to get this, where to download this ImageFetcher.cs. So see you later.